Good evening, everybody. Welcome to SVTV. Tonight we are in the presence of some of the men's national team programmes. So we're looking forward to getting into some of the chat with some of the gents who are sitting backstage. But before we get on with today's show, we want to just take a moment to reflect really on the year that has been. Today marks one full year since we entered into lockdown, and Scottish Volleyball are very aware of that, and we like to take this moment to acknowledge all the key workers and everybody who has worked so hard to bring us out of this pandemic, and the key workers who have been on the front line in the battle of COVID-19. So from Scottish Volleyball to everybody out there, we know it's been a tough year, but we're glad that you're with us, and we're constantly thinking and reflecting on the year that has been. So now we're on to our show, and it's following in on our theme of our Meet the Experts. So following on from the last broadcast, we had Drew Wallace from UWS, part of our partnership, and he was talking about all things sports psychology. And what we're going to do today is we're going to bring in the men's national team players, and we're going to delve a little bit deeper into their involvement in volleyball, some of the reasons why they got involved, and we're just going to see where this conversation goes with the three gentlemen. So waiting patiently backstage, we have Darren Martin, Fraser Brown, and Edward Albury. So by the powers of TV, here we are. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Hi, Andy.
Good, thank you.
Very good. Very good.
Brilliant. So, Darren, you are old hat at this. You are returning for a second appearance on SVTV. You're no stranger to how it works. For Edward and Fraser, it's a SVTV debut. Looking forward to a conversation with you chaps tonight and around your involvement with the senior men's national team programme. I'm very aware that you guys have a very different story to tell, and we will try as best we can, of course, the scheduled broadcast, to get as much information out of you guys as possible. So I guess the first thing that Darren, you've probably answered this already in previous chats, but the first question that we want to know from everybody on screen is how you got involved in volleyball. Straight away, Sam Shenton. You're getting some love already. Darren, just remind us about your journey into volleyball, please.
I started playing volleyball back in third year at high school. Went to Mearns Castle, where Colin Giles was one of our PE teachers. At that point, he was national team setter. So he got me involved with the after school club after doing some PE during classes, and then he persuaded me to join Kilmarnock Volleyball Club, where I joined their junior program and then joined their second team before Kilmarnock left the league, and then joined Surrogatzi. I can't remember how long that ago it was. Played for Sue for 5 or 6 years now, I think.
5, 6 years. Right, okay, so you're already counting the seasons. I like that. That's a sign of a life for Darren. Fraser, I'm going to come to you last, because I want to go straight to Edward, because I believe that your story is significantly different to the guys that are on screen. So let's tell us a little bit how you got involved in volleyball.
So I grew up in Shetland, so I started playing sort of in an after-school club type thing, and then the Shetland coach up there at the time sort of sent me a message and said, "Do you want to start playing? Do you want to start coming to training?" And then it was just at the time, it was just training. There was no competition really. And then in my second season with that, we joined the Scottish leagues at the very bottom, and then every month we would travel down and we'd play in Glasgow and Edinburgh. And then it was from there that I think Douglas Crockart or Ian Brownlee sort of saw me, and then that's how I got in contact with them. And then I started coming down to train with Scotland East, and that's how I kind of got into that setup. And then in 2017, when I moved down to university in Edinburgh, I joined City, and since then I've been playing with Fraser and all the guys over there.
So you mentioned that connection with Doug Crocker and Ian Brownlee. I can only imagine their faces when you walk in the gym and they realise, oh yes, he's very tall. I won't sit here and deny it, and I know that Fraser and Darren will join me in this sentiment. We're all very, very jealous of your height, although it does pose problems for other aspects of daily life. But yes, we are all very jealous of you. That travel, that's a heck of a commitment. How old were you when you started making that travel with Shetland?
I think 16. I was 16 when we first started playing.
All right. So, parentally, what sort of challenges did that pose you? Because it's not like Darren going from Newton Mearns down the road with a respected teacher taking you to training, or Fraser coming across from Stonelaw. That's a fair trek. So, how was that received by the parental unit?
To be fair, it was a bit of excitement. You got a trip out of it. It's not. We were every 4 weeks down in the mainland, and then maybe the Sunday night travelling back up. Maybe that was not so exciting, but on a whole, it was good. It was good fun.
Right, quality. Fraser, how did you get involved in our wonderful sport?
So I started playing volleyball kind of the same as Darren at school. I had 2 PE teachers that were absolutely amazing. They really pushed volleyball. I went along first day of school, lunchtime club. I'd done it a little bit in primary school just before I came up to secondary. Loved it, really enjoyed it. And then met some of my best pals that I still have to this day playing. So it was kind of the social aspect, even when I was 12, 13 was great. And then obviously we came to play with Glasgow Mets as a junior setup with yourself, Andy, which really helped us develop and move forward. And then sort of in quite a quick space of time, I started playing in the National League with the second team for Glasgow Mets at the time, at the age of 15, which is a bit scary, but good for me to develop and play against big scrawny men, you know. And then from there, played for a couple of years, and then when I got to sort of university age, I ended up obviously down at Leeds with Simon Loftus. Best setup in the country at the time. I was absolutely delighted, to be involved in that for 3 years. Came home after that, after I finished. Played for Mets again for a couple of seasons. Then I went away again. Did a master's degree down at Northumbria, which again was the best program at the time. A couple of years down there. And then I came back, and I've been playing with City of Edinburgh since I came back.
All right, I won't hold that against you, mate. I won't hold that against you. An amazing amount of experience here on the screen, and for different reasons, all playing under different styles of coaches and programs. So, how are you taking the experience of the programs that you've been in, that junior programs, into your club? How did you manage that transition? So, Darren, you're probably one of the first ones to make that transition from school to club on the screen. So, how did you manage that change from what was maybe a good time at school to then going, right, I'm serious about volleyball here, and how did that differ?
So when I first kind of picked up volleyball, I was kind of drifting between sports, athletics, and football. Sort of kind of 2 sports I was going mostly with. Started to have a couple of injuries, and then I just kind of fell out of love with a wee bit. Big Jim. I kind of fell out of love with football a wee bit, so I kind of gave that up. And decided that I would kind of push for volleyball, and then. Or I was quite lucky at the time because Kilmarnock used to train at Mearns Castle as well, despite it being in Mearns. And I lived around the corner from the school, so it was a fairly easy journey, and it kind of made sense to me. So So yeah, that's kind of my transition from school to club was fairly simple for me. But yeah.
Difficult environment because some people might not be aware of the Kilmarnock team that you actually entered into. It was a fairly successful team with a lot of personality on the court with high standards. I mean, do you think that rubbed off on you and how you played that?
I think so, yeah. So at that young age, I went to play. I was playing with the second team, but it was mixed trainings. We were training with the first team, and they had a lot of high demands. But I think that pushed me to improve my performance, to try and get up to some of the levels that these guys were playing at. And I don't think had I not been thrown into the deep end, I don't think I'd have made that transition as easily. Or easily. A lot of hard work went into it, but it was quite difficult at the start. There was a lot of tempers, a lot of bad tempers, big strong characters in the Kilmarnock team. I think they had a bit of a reputation at the time. To be an angry team, shall we say?
I mean, I can't comment on that. I'm sure they were all competitive in their own right. Fraser, you also had the baptism of fire when you went from school to club. Now, don't hold back, mate. This is your moment to slate me.
No. I mean, it was almost just like a continuation of playing at school for me. I just absolutely loved being in that environment, even at that age. And I think, although I was, nervous because, I remember the first couple of times we had training, there was Simon Loftus at the other side, and we called him King Kong, didn't we? The reason for that, because when he used to play volleyball, he hit the ball hard. So there was a bit of fear and a bit of worry in there, but that was just a kind of natural thing. But we were like sponges. We just loved to learn the game and loved to play volleyball and play with each other. And that sort of team bond grew from there. And it's kind of why I fell in love with volleyball at that stage. And yes, it was difficult at times. And then obviously kind of getting thrown into National League at 15, the full men's National League, it was a little bit daunting for me. But I think the club helped me a lot because, I dipped in here and there and I was subbed on and off, and I got that exposure that I needed to get that experience up. And then I just didn't look back from there, Andy. Just, kept playing, kept enjoying it, kept getting better. And that's, still doing the same today, just about.
You're still as thirsty for it, Fraser. You're still thirsty to learn and still thirsty the way. I mean, you obviously said earlier on that you've experienced two of probably Britain's better programmes down south. You still as thirsty for it?
Definitely. If I'm honest, although I've been back in Scotland for a couple of years now, it's probably been my best level in terms of consistency, just the age that I am and the number of years that I've been playing. And I don't see it stopping anytime soon, which is good for me, because there's a lot of people that I know that are my age group or even younger that kind of fall away and stop playing. But don't get me wrong, there's been times where I've had tough times and I've not enjoyed tail ends of seasons or whatnot, and you go into the summer thinking, I don't know if I can do this, but it comes around to August, September time, and you just do the same again and you fall back in love with it. So
So before I move on to Eddie, did Darren, Fraser, do you still get the same amount of buzz now as you did start of the season when it comes time to get your new court shoes?
Yeah, if not more. Like when you get to these bigger, the kind of bigger performance games, your national team trips, that buzz is nothing compared to the buzz that you get when you start in school. It's a totally different level.
Eddie, how about you, fella? What about your experience of that transition? Certainly, you've been through the journey. You've highlighted that, but coming from Shetland to City of Edinburgh, pretty successful programme in its own right. And again, like the Kilmarnocks and the Surrogates and the Glasgow Mets, they have also got a really good history with the game and a lot of personality in there. How do you as a young player fit in there, and I say young player because probably bigger than some of the guys you started playing with. How do you find that transition?
So yeah, obviously it was a big transition. Training with Shetland, we'd train once a week, and then we'd go down south and play once a month. So it was good, and it was as intense as it could have been. And then obviously finish school, and then finish the summer training up in Shetland, and then I would come down. So we moved in here, and then joined up with City of Edinburgh, and then it was training more regularly, games obviously when it started the season weekly, and it was just a different experience in terms of the personnel playing with, like you said, big names, experience, which as a young player, it's good looking up to those sorts of players. And then the coach, Ali Jack, Kevin, is just have all the experience and the personality around you. And then, I don't know, it just helps you improve and grow from there.
All right, you've mentioned that, so we've segued quite nicely. Here we go. The national team. What does it mean to you, Edward? That's a big question to you.
It's an honour, yeah. Nothing quite like pulling on the shirt, getting selected, the whole process, the training camps, waiting for selection, the training for the competition, the game, whatever it is, the whole thing. It's an experience from start to finish. It's just a privilege to get just to play whenever you can.
Yeah. Awesome. Fraser, I can remember when you first told us you were selected, and I was fairly proud of you, but how did it feel for you?
It's a big question. It's hard to probably put into words, in all honesty, Andy. You know, if you get to represent your country at anything, you know, your heart's absolutely beaming with pride. And you know, I think that's the big thing for me is pride, you know, to have everybody back home watching you and cheering you on, knowing that they're doing that, and just being able to pull on that jersey. Yeah, just a massive sense of pride and enjoyment, I guess, because it's the sort of culmination of working so hard, trying to get to the top of your sport in your country, you know, and for that to be rewarded with that, the call up, I was just beaming for weeks, absolutely beaming.
Yeah, you were. Darren, you said you used the word buzz. How's that buzz? Can you even put it into any better words, or is buzz just the best word for it?
I think buzz is probably one of the best words for it, but at the same time, you're incredibly nervous. I don't say this, but when you first go into that, on that court, when you're getting your first cap, you doubt your own ability at that point, just with the pressure that you feel under it. But once that's out of the way, then the buzz comes back, and you realise that I'm here, I'm performing at the highest level that I can at the moment. You know, playing for your national team doesn't get much bigger than that. So it's a great feeling.
I'm sitting here, I'm listening to some of the language that you're using, like the whole nervousness and that sort of fear of, okay, I'm now on the court. Drew would have absolutely loved having you on with the sports side, because you've mentioned that you've worked hard to get to that position, and the coach is saying that you're ready. Do you think there's a little bit of doubt in every player's mind about it, or do you think that might be just something that's individual?
I think players would lie if they told you they weren't nervous. Sorry, Fraser.
No, you're right.
I think players would lie if they tell you they weren't nervous, but I think it's good nerves. I think you need to have a bit of nervousness in you, and to be able to perform at that level. If you weren't nervous, then who knows what you're thinking. But it's a big moment to play in these games, so it's good to have those nerves. Fraser.
So you've got there, Fraser. You're doing everything. Let's talk about it then. What do you remember from your first cap, Fraser? What's the memory like?
Patchy, actually, which sounds a bit strange, but I believe we were playing Luxembourg, and I got called up, and Gav Watt was the kind of starting setter. we were 2-0 down in this game. This is the one that I remember, and we were 2-0 down, and I just got put in, and it was kind of like, just go for it, see what happens. And we ended up getting back to 2 sets all, and the 5th set I'd cramped up, had to go off. He ended up losing, but it was that was a tournament. That was kind of my first couple of that. I just remember there was a period where I went on a bit of a service run, and there was the Luxembourg fans in the crowd, and they were obviously trying to, make some noise, put you off. And it was just, I had a little moment of getting the ball and just getting into my little, pre-serve routine. And I just remember going back and thinking, I'm just going to keep hammering this ball until, we lose a point, sort of thing. And it was just a really poignant moment for me to remember. I don't know why, but yeah, it was amazing for me, because the bits in between the actual gameplay, it's blurry, because it's always like that for me in a game. I'm not really thinking on individual points. There's little moments here and there that just look back on and you smile.
Cool. Eddie, what about your first cap? How do you remember it going?
You're good. As we said before, first cap feelings. It's always special. It was against as well, which makes it that much better. It was then in Newcastle. The score, I think we lost the game, but just the experience taken away from the first cap was good. To be against that opposition was good.
I mean, it's a good level. Darren, a wee bit longer ago, but what's your first cap memories like?
So very first point, serve straight in the net. That was my first point.
Beautiful.
First point as a national team player. Came on in Iceland against Iceland, and came on and served straight in the net. I was so nervous at the time. Served straight in the net, and then had a great tournament after that. I played pretty well, especially in the last game of the series against Cyprus. Had a really good game there, but yeah, after that first point coming on, serving in the net, I knew I had to do something about it and up my performance. So,
well, if you're going to have a moment, you may as well get it out really early.
Get it out of the way as soon as I can. Yeah.
Don't back to the match point. Get it out of the way. Paper over that one. Right, listen, we're gonna answer Johnny Black's question here, right? And he's going to put it up. Martin, let's have it. Johnny Black wants to know, lads, if you could have 2 existing or previous national team players to help you survive a zombie apocalypse, who would it be and why? And you don't feel obliged to pick Johnny.
Neil Collins.
Strange question.
That's a difficult one.
Fraser, come on.
Collins.
Who do you want?
Nearly Collins.
Nearly Collins, that's one.
Scariest man I know. So I think he would do me a favour and prevent a few incidents. So
probably
my first choice.
Probably Stuart Edgar and Mark McGivern for me.
Oh yes, good. I can see where you're going there, Edward. You're on the spot.
I'll take Mike Penny.
Mike Penny.
Yeah.
Come on, you need to tell me why.
I can run faster.
Mike Penny to death. I think he's an amazing player with one of the most consistent wipe-offs I've ever had. The pleasure of playing against, but why would you take him in a zombie apocalypse? I hope he's watching.
Quite simple. I can run faster, so.
Oh, amazing. Okay, I can see what you're saying there. Oh, Penny, if you're watching, that's crazy. So we've sort of been talking about that national team and your players and whatnot. For people who maybe are aspirational about it, trying to get to the national team level, Fraser, what's it like on that journey? What sort of person do you need to be, and what sort of commitment do you need to display?
I think it's something that I've had, you just have to be really tenacious. I think you have to really, really want to do it, and you have to, be prepared to do the hard work that comes along with it to be able to get to that standard of play. You have to kind of take care of yourself physically and also mentally. I think that's something that I've learned as I've got, more into it. Obviously, your physical fitness, your strength, etc., is really important so that you can, be at the top of your game and also, not get injured. And then also being able to deal with setbacks. You might not make the cut, you might not get selected, and it's how you deal with that can really sort of define you as a player. I think you have to be prepared to suffer setbacks, and it's how you recover from those. And I've had that in my time playing volleyball, and anything that has occurred, it's driven me to succeed even more and prove people wrong. And I think it's that desire that can really, really set you off, and you'll not look back once you start doing that process.
Yeah. And Darren, for you just dropped off there when we were asked the question. So it's just like, what do you think you need to the characteristics you need to display to be part of the national team? What do you need to do to actually get there?
You got to show that desire to want to play at that level. When you get to these games, you've got to leave it all out there. You've got to put out all your whole performance. As Fraser said, you've got to have those mental strengths, the mental characteristics as well, to overcome serving in the net in your first point. You've got to have that mental toughness, the resilience to come back from that setback. And then there might be tournaments where you do get dropped, and again overcoming that and going back, getting in the gym and go back to the training court and improving your skills to get back in that selection. You've got resilience is one of the big ones for me.
So Edward, we just seen Johnny come at us with his question. From what Fraser and Darren have said, how important do you feel that the players in that squad are at supporting each other and around the national team programme? How important is that for you?
Yeah, well, it's really important, especially obviously we talk about the desire, and the resilience and stuff, but having a good team around you just helps with everything. Can keep you, can bring you up, support you. So yeah, it's really important to have a good team around you.
Yeah, you also have to practice a lot.
That again, Fraser?
You also have to practice a lot.
A lot of practice.
Yeah.
All right. What, in your opinion, is a lot of practice, Fraser?
Well, I mean, if I could have my way, I'd still be doing it twice a day, which I did, back in the day at uni. But it's tricky. But if you can maximise opportunities that you have to train, whether it be on the court or in the gym, you'll notice a massive improvement. That's what happened with me. Definitely when I was 17, 18, I'd played a lot of volleyball and I was getting quite good, good skill level. But when I hit that kind of training environment of training twice a day, playing twice a week, which is obviously the sort of university makeup, my skill level went up massively. But that was because I was training twice a day, if not 3 times a day with a gym session type thing, and the changes in my performance and my body and all the rest of it, it was a massive increase for me, and it kind of opened up my eyes to actually, this is how the sort of top level athletes, etc., that's how they perform at their best.
So we're in through COVID, and the year as the banner rolls below us on Day of Reflection. It's taken an awful lot from a lot of people, and we've taken some time today to remember and reflect on the year. This time last year, we were about to hit semi-finals. So for everybody on the screen, we were all going to be involved. And then COVID came along, and within the shape of what was the most hectic 5 hours of my working life, it was all cancelled. We're sitting here a year later, and do you guys, do you feel we're getting closer? Do you feel that we're getting closer to being back to getting indoors and back to playing? How do you feel about the world without playing? Darren?
I think we're definitely getting closer. I still think we're a wee while away from it. Hopefully after summer, things will be back to as close to normal as we can be back in the training court. I've found it quite difficult. Not having volleyball, you know, it's as much as volleyball is good for the fitness and things. Having the people around you all the time, to go from training 2 or 3 times a week, games at the weekends, in the gym, to being stuck at home, going for one run a day, it was tough, tough mentally. So I think as soon as we can get back to being indoors or even down the beach, around people playing sport again, having that sort of competitive edge with people. I think the lockdown quizzes helped get that competitiveness out, but there's nothing like getting on the volleyball court and winning matches, especially when it's against Edinburgh. But that's
yes. All right, Edward, do you want to come back on that? How do you feel about your year off away from the court and what you missed?
Just looking forward to get back, to be honest. The same as Darren, all the same reasons. It's just you don't realise how much you're invested in it until you're not doing it, really. So it's a big miss because, like Darren said, you'll be with the people playing the sport 4 or 5 times a week, and then from going from that to nothing, it's quite a big life change for the year. But yeah, hopefully sometime this year we'll get back to training at least.
Yeah. So Fraser, how have you kept yourself going? These guys have talked about how much they've missed it, how much they've missed the camaraderie of the team environment. What have you been doing to keep yourself going?
Well, walking, a lot of walking, as you can imagine. It's been tricky, actually. It's tricky because it's kind of been peaks and troughs. I've actually quite enjoyed a break at times. It's almost like an extended summer break because we stopped a little bit early, but then it gets to the sort of time where you would normally start to, get back into the sort of court sessions with your teammates and stuff, and then you kind of start to feel like, actually, I'm really missing that, because it's only when you have these kind of periods where you almost reflect on what you do and how much of a release volleyball is, as well as you want to win matches and win titles, etc., which is obviously a great side of the game. It's just actually seeing your mates, or taking your mind off things that are going on in the world or your work or whatever it might be, and I think that's kind of what I've missed. But try and combat that, I've just been trying all sorts of things, going walking, running, cycling, just trying to stick to the rules, and well, I'm fed up on my back garden, let's put it that way.
Liam Darling says it's good to see you've not been breaking COVID rules and getting a barber involved.
I know, it's terrible. I'm sorry. I apologise.
We've all got our sinful haircuts that we've had to endure, which is crazy. So let's say we'll talk about the national team programme. What's it like playing for Ali Jack? Now, I grew up playing with Ali Jack, against Ali Jack, and I know Ali Jack the player. But you guys know him a wee bit more intimately in terms of Ali Jack the coach. So, what's that like, Darren, for you?
So I really like Ali Jack as a coach. I think so. Ali's one of these coaches that he trusts the player performance. So he knows we have the skills to be able to play the game. And he puts the sort of tactics and the thought behind it, and allows us to use our skills to the best of our advantage. That's one of the things I really like about Ali as a coach. And he's just a nice guy as well, which just to get along with him well, and you can be open with him and just kind of have a kind of chat with him. I really like Ali as a national team coach. I know the other guys have got him as a club coach as well. But for me, to go out of Sue, and then you're into the national team setup with Ali. It's a good change. Good change for me.
So Fraser, Edward, this is where you guys can maybe shed some light on. Darren's touched on that whole club national team level. Is Ali Jack different at national team than he is at club? or is it the same environment but just at a higher level with the national team? What's your thoughts on it?
I think he approaches things the same way that he does. He approaches games and training similarly, and I think that probably reflects in our performance as a club as well, because we've been on the rise and we've been playing really well, and that's kind of forward and carried on into the national team, I think. The players that are involved. But yeah.
Edward, your reflections?
Yeah, the same as Fraser. He puts the same effort into both setups, which is a big thing. The same effort and the same sort of same direction he's trying to put both clubs in. So it's good.
Casey, enjoy that. The banner reads, "How much has Ali Jack been paying you guys?" I wonder how long it'll be before he's on with a question. We've enjoyed watching the progress that you guys have made as a national team, and I want to take you back to that last tournament. You obviously, you guys were talking about how you felt as national team players, that whole the country watching. I can tell you that we all sat glued to screens that weekend, and I don't think I've ever been so nervous watching that final match that you weren't involved in. Get the win. So I want you guys to reflect on that, because it's such a huge moment for Scotland. But for you as a national team player, you're going into that hall knowing that you need a result from another team. How did that make you feel, and what was it like in that hall, as the game unfolded and as you slowly came to realise that you were about to bring home the Champions League trophy, which I like to refer to it as. Who wants to go first? Who wants to hit me with how they were feeling?
I'll go first if you want. We'd had a meal as a team, and we'd gone into town, and we came back because we knew the game was on, and there was a possibility, obviously, that results going our way, we could win it. And it was, I think we were all just excited at the fact that it could happen, because we knew that some of the results didn't go our way, and we felt like we didn't perform when we first started in the tournament, and then we got better as we went on. So it was almost a missed opportunity type feel. But then when the points started to go the other way, and you could see John Swan calculating up the points and trying to figure out if it's going to be close and stuff like that. I think all of us as a team were just, the excitement was through the roof. And then to sort of pull it off, it was great. And well, for me, the disappointment and all the, is it Faroese or Faroe Island people's faces, it was great. I loved it. I was just, it was good. Good feeling.
I'm sure that they took it in the spirit it was due, and the were equally as disappointed. Fraser, Darren, how did you feel about that whole process? What was your reflection for that day?
I don't know if I was more nervous going on for my first cap or waiting on that result. I don't know what was. I honestly don't know what was worse. But when the result came our way, the atmosphere between the players that were there was unbelievable, and phoning home and phoning friends and family. Everyone was absolutely buzzing. It was such a big moment, such a great feeling to have, although we didn't do it the way we wanted to do it, to still have got that result out the end of it. It was an incredible feeling.
Yeah. We saw again. I go back to your friend Johnny Black. He's not one for containing his emotions during celebrations, but he was all over it, and it was such a good thing for us to watch. Eddie, how was it for you?
Yeah, it was quite an even mix between nervousness and excitement watching the game. All of our players sort of grouped together on the sides, coaches sitting up in the stands behind us, and then just the progression through the game, and then realising that the result probably was going our way, and then it did go our way. It was just, obviously we'd have liked to do it on our own terms and win it without needing another result, but the end of the day, win's a win. So
Wins a win, big man. You're so right. But that big trophy, Johnny Black brought it into the national festival, which, as you can imagine, it caused quite a stir. He was around as if he was Cristiano Ronaldo. But did you guys get? Did you get a shot at that trophy before it disappeared into somebody's trophy cabinet?
Yep, I did it into work and everything. I don't think anyone was massively caring, but no, they did actually in my work. They streamed the games live on TV in the office and stuff. So I got some nice pictures with the people watching it and stuff. So they were all kind of cheering us all on. So I was delighted to take it into them when they were all like, "Oh, you've been drinking out of this and whatnot," and it was a good laugh. Yeah.
Darren, did you get your hands on it?
I've not seen the trophy for a while, so I've no idea where it is. I'm still waiting on my medal as well that we've been
medals. Oh no! Did you get hold of it?
So yeah, I think it must have. Sorry, Darren.
There you go.
I think it must have stayed in the east because I had it in my room for about a week and then decided against bringing it into uni. So it got as far as my room and then back to Alley Jack.
All right, okay. All right, interesting. So, I mean, that's a huge moment. I think it goes without saying everybody at Scottish Volleyball was hugely proud of that team achievement, and something that you guys you've pointed out. You said that it's not the way that you wanted it. I remember the opening set of the opening game, and I was leaving the Glasgow office thinking, right, these guys look cruise control. I can jump in the car. I'll be back at my house, and then I get home. I put on the stream, and I'm like, "What's happened?" So what did happen, guys? I mean, I thought you were cruising it, and then we came in, and I was like, "Oh, something's gone horribly wrong." Wheels came off the bogey. What happened, fellas?
Try to remember it back, Andy. If I'm honest.
Is that foggy memory coming in?
Maybe just block out all the negative, But I think I'm not sure going into the tournament. I think it was the first training session or was it the second training session? We had a sort of, loosen the legs off type thing, and I personally was a little worried at the way we trained because it wasn't as well to the standard that I would expect us all to have. So we had a word about it and stuff, and then we came in ready for the match. When we played, we started well, we played well, and then I'm not sure what exactly happened, what changed. But I think you reflect on it, but that for me sometimes is what volleyball's about. You could have the best team and the worst team, and on their day, the worst team can beat the big guy, So I think we were gutted after the first night actually because we were in such a good position that we should have really finished that game off. And we wouldn't have having to, rely on those other results. But I think it showed our character that we picked ourselves back up, Andy, the next day, massively.
I mean, any coach will tell you that it's a. Oh, that's Laura turning the lights out on me. It's not in the game plan to lose at any stage, but to be able to have that resilience and pick yourself back up. Darren, how did you think that the team reacted to that setback?
I think, especially after that first game, Fraser touched on it. We were also deflated after that game. We all took it quite hard. We kind of thought, I think a lot of us kind of thought at that point that was the sort of tournament over. And at that point, I can't even remember the order of the games, but whoever we played in that first day, I think it was the favorite. Iceland on the first day, I think. I think at that point we didn't think we would beat the team the next day, sort of thing. It was in that initial moment, it was a massive hit. But I think after talking about it with the team, we knew we had the performance level to be able to beat the next teams, and we really did bring it back in those next 2 days. We put hard work in on the training court the next morning to get back up to standard, and then went out and performed. And really, really well on that second day. And then on the third day against Greenland, we knew we had to go for big points gaps to give us the best chance. And we did that. We were holding them to single figures, if not close to 10. So we gave ourselves a big opportunity after that, feeling so low after the first game. We improved our performance level and made us feel a lot better about it.
Yeah, you obviously played yourselves back into it because the reaction was clear to see in the next couple of games. So conversations are had. Who's the real leader on the team then? Who's the person that, if the chips are down, steps up and lifts you? Who is that? Eddie, who's it in your opinion?
I think the good thing about that team is there isn't just one player that will step up, and different players will step up in terms of bigging the team up, and then other players will step up by putting in a performance and playing well when it matters. So I think that was the good thing about the team that went to that tournament.
All right, so let's.
Yeah, I'll add to that one. I think particularly in that tournament, it was a good group. It was a good team. Everyone got along really well. Everyone, you could be honest with each other. You could be angry at players, but they would be angry back. So but after the game, that was it. You could talk about your differences, but there's some big characters in the team. Fraser, Neely, Eddie as well. There's big characters that they know have big performances, and at that point, everyone knew what they had to do, and we could all rely on each other. We had that trust in each other's performance levels to do the job.
Good. So here we go. You've been on tour. You've had roommates. Who is the best roommate you've had on tour? And that one is for Fraser Brown. Who's the best roommate you've had on tour?
That's a good question. I was going to say probably actually more recently, Liam Darling. We just had a good laugh, but he was military precision every morning or every time we went away to training or that. He had everything laid out, and I was like, oh man, I must be so like unorganized and stuff. But we had a good laugh, and that's the main thing. Especially because we're a couple of years older than most of the group at the moment, so us old boys stuck together, Us gingers.
That's quite for you, Edward. Eddie, who's your best teammate to room with?
I think I had Mitchell Brown once, so that was a bit of fun.
The best, Edward, not the worst.
Light-hearted, so it was good fun. So I would say
Brown, I wasn't expecting that, but if you're listening, Mitchell, you're getting big praise. Darren, who's your go-to?
I've shared with Stuart McKenzie quite a few times. The league bro, so we've had me and Stuart played for Sue for a long time together. Junior national team, Sue teams, UK school games and things. So me and Stuart have been quite close at a lot of these tournaments. So he's probably one that we go with.
All right, time to chuck a teammate under the bus. Who's the worst teammate that you've roomed with?
Jamie McCarty.
Why?
Can you never remember anything. He'll leave his shoes behind, or he doesn't have a bag, or he's one of the most clever people I've ever met. But for some reason, he's just couldn't remember anything.
Fraser,
he's a brilliant guy. We used to have a lot. We went to the Novotel in January, and me and Jamie had a lot of good conversations after games, after training sessions and things, and we got along really well over in Luxembourg. So as much as I say he's the worst, he was a good. I don't think I've had a particularly bad experience with any.
Fraser.
Yeah, I'm trying to have a think. I feel like I maybe roomed with Krasic once, Alan Krasic before, and he was the snorer.
Yeah.
I think it was Krasic. I think it was Alan Krasic, but somebody was a right snorer, and I wasn't great. I was a pillow over the head trying to block it out job, you know. But,
I've roomed with Krasic. He can. Aye, Eddie.
I've got to be boring. I don't think I've ever really had a bad roommate.
Oh, God.
Not even close to being not even a little bit bad.
It's all right. We're all pretty close with Ali Jack. We're definitely Alan Krasic snoring. Yes, Chelsea, you're right. Krasic can snore. We'll definitely sort you out with something, some challenging roommates. Who's the best dressed in the team?
Best dressed.
which team? National team? Oh, that's a tricky one. I reckon I could give you two that think they are.
Kev Chisholm. Oh dear. Kev, you're being called out here by Doug Crockett for your snoring.
Oh.
Dazza, who is the best dressed on the national team?
Best dressed. Oh man, that is a tough question.
Clearly, no one.
Johnny Black probably thinks he's the best dressed, but
Who?
Johnny Black will probably think he's the best dressed, but I'm not sure I agree.
Yeah. Eddie, always the diplomat. All right, so we're cruising here a wee bit. Let's just think about your careers at club or for club. Who's your best teammate that you've played with at club and has made that journey to national team with you? So, who was that? You said Darren, you shared a room with wee Stuarty boy, but is he the best you've played with the Galaxy national team? So
I mean, Mark McLaughlin is probably one of the standout performers for me. Me and Mark started back. Well, he played for Stuart before I did, as setter, and then he progressed his way up into the national team. He got a couple of caps before I did, and he always performs at that really high level. Shows now he's down playing for Polonia, Champions League, and getting his name out there. It's really good to see.
Yeah. Fraser.
It's probably two actually. The two Seans, Sean Hendry and Sean Cook. They were the two that kind of came up with me at the same time, and particularly Sean Hendry because we were at school together, and in the same Mets team with yourself, Andy, and we kind of kept sort of getting better and better and getting called up and stuff. But those two for me, as well as being good close friends of mine, still that we drove each other on. We had good banter and a good laugh, but there was always that seriousness there that. All three of us wanted to be the best players we could be and you know, perform at the highest levels we could. And obviously Sean Cook as an example has gone on to do that at the highest levels in Europe and on the beach now. So definitely those two for me.
Edward.
So for me, it is one of the guys that I started playing with in Scotland East. So it would be the other middle, Mark Cathro. And for me, we started when I first came down and started playing for Scotland East. He was in the team. He was very welcoming, and then when I came on to playing for the junior setup for the Scotland under 20s, Mark was there. We went to Cyprus together, and then when I came down and started playing for City of Edinburgh. Also playing for them, so it was always good to have the familiar face. and still playing with him today, so it's good.
All right. I've had a message in, and there's a common denominator on the screen, so it wouldn't be right for me not to ask you guys about this and how it's impacted you as players. Eddie, you've just talked about it. Darren, you've alluded to it. Fraser, you have just mentioned it. All of you, in some shape or form, under various names, have competed at what is the school's games, or been in that sort of squad environment. How had that impacted you as a younger player? What sort of purpose do you think it played in preparation for your journey into, as you mentioned, Eddie, into more senior national teams? What's your sort of reflections on that programme? Start with you, Eddie.
For me, I think the school games was a good platform for the young players that we were back then, to just sort of experience a big tournament situation. So at the time, I played in school games in 2015 and 16, and to go to a 4-day tournament where there's 1,000+ people and experience the games and the crowds and stuff, it's quite a good base to then go on and make the next step to playing in the bigger tournaments or wherever you go and play.
Awesome. Darren, for you?
Yeah, I played 2013, 2014, and the tournaments are brilliant. They were a really, really good platform. When you first start playing volleyball, it's difficult to see at first where it was maybe going to take you. So getting that opportunity to play at a sort of regional Scotland level, and a sort of higher at that age group, a higher performance capacity. There's a steep learning curve, but the chance to learn and the oppositions that we're playing against in England, they were really, really beneficial tournaments. It's a shame they don't do the school games as was before, but the Flying Scots programme, I think, is a really good alternative. But hopefully in the future they might bring something like that back. So yeah, I think they were really important for my route into volleyball. I think they gave me that platform to aim for at the start, before transitioning up into the junior national team and then into the senior national team as well.
Nice. And
I don't know. Are we, my group of players, were the only ones to win it? I'm not sure in Scotland, or someone else won it. I genuinely not sure, but it was amazing. 16 years old. It was the first time I'd really prepared for a major tournament for such a long period of time. And the actual amount of training that we did, camps at Inverclyde, everything. There was so much effort that went into that from a coaching point of view, from the association's point of view, and us as a team and players. It's the first time that I experienced a competitive environment like that, and it's the first time I was really pitted against other people in Britain, at the sort of similar age level. Went there the first year, absolutely battered. We got absolutely battered, and there was guys like Nathan French, future British Olympian, a few others in there as well. We got absolutely battered in 2007. We went back 2008 and we ended up winning it, and it was amazing. Still the feelings that I had at that time were amazing for me. And it was then when I started speaking to sort of Simon Loftus about going into Leeds and sort of kicking on my next volleyball step. And then it's a sad one, but it's also the last major volleyball thing I had with my mum before I lost her, and it holds a massive impact to me, and memory to me, as a 16-year-old lad. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Fraser, I remember that time.
I think we made an important point there, Fraser, as well, that a lot of the players that competed at these school games are still in national team setups. We go play England, things, Northern Ireland, the Wales team as well. There's a lot of the players that played in the school games teams in the years I played are still playing with the national teams now. So it's clear. I think it's made an impact on people getting into the sport and staying involved in it. They've got that competition level at an early age, and they've got the bug for it, and they keep it going.
Yeah, the buzz is there with those tournaments. The environment it thrusts you into is an excellent one. Darren, you made a good point. You're Flying Scots is the new transition for that. Obviously, we're not able to facilitate that every year, but you think it's a valuable tool for the development of young players?
Yeah, I think especially in volleyball, where we sometimes struggle to get junior players to kind of stay involved. I think they need a good performance outlet to go and join playing these teams, kind of mimicking playing for Scotland and getting these chances to play at that level before transitioning into the team, into a club setup or into the junior national team setups. I think the disappointment of the school games being no more was a good step to put in the Flying Scots. I definitely think it should continue into the future.
Yeah. We're working behind the scenes to hopefully try and continue to bridge that gap for our players. But one of the questions that we want to ask you guys is, what would you say to anybody that's aspiring to follow in your footsteps? They play a little bit of volleyball, but they want to take it more seriously, and they ultimately want to push you guys for a position on the court. So what would you be saying to them right now? And Fraser, don't be a setter, be a middle, so that you can keep your position. What would you be saying to them?
It's almost kind of what we touched upon earlier about being tenacious and wanting to be the best that you can be. If you're really set on doing it, just try and get involved as much as you can in volleyball. And I probably wished that when I was a younger player that I went and asked for help more often from senior players or for people that maybe I didn't know so well or didn't feel comfortable approaching. And I know it wasn't for any particular reason. These players are there for a reason. They've got the experience. They've obviously got skills and talents. Why not try and learn from them? I definitely think as a young player, the more you can learn, the more you can learn from others. Watch loads of videos, YouTube, games online, whatever it may be. It's amazing the amount of information that you can actually take in from even just getting more exposure to those, moments.
Darren, for you, what would your message be?
Yeah, I think you've got to put the hard work in. It's not everything comes naturally. You've got to put the hard work in there to get to improve your skills, and you've got to have the motivation and the discipline in yourself to get to training, to get to go to national team sessions or go to Flying Scots sessions at the weekends. If you want to perform at the high level, you've got to some things have got to sacrifice. But you make good sacrifices to play at the level that you can get to with the national teams. It's hard work and sacrifice. It's probably
I mean, I'm loving the messages. Edward, we're going to come to you because probably you know the most about sacrifice in terms of playing volleyball. So let's have your message.
Yeah, I reiterate both the points Fraser and Darren made. It's hard work. Hard work. Take all the opportunities you can get, whether that's showing up to every training session, asking help from the coaches, the best players, all the players there. and it's just working hard and your opportunities. That would be my two big ones.
Good messages, strong messages. So you're talking about what it takes to be there, what it takes to play on the national team, and we love to hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. In terms of your players that you play with, I think it was Darren. You said Nearly was scary. Who said Nearly Collins was scary? Who said that?
That was me.
Yeah. Is he the scariest player in the squad?
Nah.
I think at times, I don't know. I think at times he maybe could have been. One thing always sticks in my mind where we were out for a dinner in Luxembourg, in Faroe Islands. Chased me down the street, and you saw his police skills on me, and I think he always just puts the fear in me, but he is a really, really nice guy and a great volleyball player. So I think maybe being the scariest man is maybe a bit harsh, but
you just wouldn't mess with him.
Yeah,
you wouldn't mess with him. Fraser, you see a different side of it. Obviously, he's one of your club players. Is there anybody on the team that you would think, oh, I don't want to cross him?
Nah, not really. No. Don't know what that says about me, but no, I don't think so.
Well, I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Fraser. When you played at Mets, you were known for being quite moody. Are you the moodiest player on that team, or is there any moodier?
I don't know. Let Eddie answer.
What's it like, Eddie, when you've sclaffed one out the side off Fraser and he knows it's a good set?
Yeah, I just don't blame the set. Don't blame the set.
Fraser, that's right, mate. It's always the spiker.
Train them well.
You train them well. It's never me. It's always you. Go under the bus. Yes, it's an interesting dynamic you guys have got. Who's the practical joker of the crew? Because there's a couple of names. Obviously, you had mentioned, Edward, that you had some time with Mitchell Brown. He's known to have a bit of banter about him. But who's the most with the banter on the squad?
Johnny Black. Johnny Black's all about the banter.
I would say Johnny.
He loves it.
He loves it. Taza, from your point of view?
Yeah, I think especially in the last few years, I think Johnny Black, for sure, he's always got something daft to say, something. But he picks team spirits up, gets us going.
Gets you going.
Johnny's first cap song was Rasputin, and he did more dancing in the warm up than he did for the actual singing. It was hilarious. It was brilliant. Thumbs him up.
So what are you telling me here, Fraser? That there's an initiation?
Oh yeah. Tell a joke or sing a song your first cap.
Nice. All right. Now we're into the meat and bones of it. Eddie, what did you do?
I sang a song with Ewan Gibson in a packed pub down in Newcastle.
Excellent. Darren?
I was the Jungle Book in a bar in Iceland.
Fraser?
I had to sing. What did I sing? I sang with Jamie McCarty. Me and him did a song together. Oh my goodness, what was it? It's on somebody's Facebook somewhere, but it was in Luxembourg and it was in front of all the players.
You didn't get caught on camera, did you, son?
Probably. I think we did. It'll be there somewhere, and I think my hair is actually even worse than it is tonight. So that was embarrassing. I had a room full of, well, I think it was a men's and women's tournament, so we had all the men's teams, all the women's teams in eating dinner, and then off we went. Mortified, absolutely mortified, but just something you got to get done and get through.
power through it. I mean, yeah, it's all, we've all been there. We've all been there. Right, so we're cruising here. There is a question that I'm sort of been looking at, and it's from Callum Johnson's asked the question, Darren, when are you going to go full liker when you're on your bike?
No, I think what is I think Callum's just taken up cycling, so he wants to be he wants to know when to go full lycra, but embrace it, Callum. There's no time like the present.
I think the message you're saying, Darren, is that you know, Callum, it's compression garments, and it's going to help you with your cycling performance.
Keep you warm as well.
Yeah. Eddie, what have you been doing? Obviously, fitness-wise, keeping yourself tip-top. What have you been up to?
The normal stuff: running, cycling, borrowing, get my hands on gym equipment whenever I can, dumbbells, bands, ropes, kettlebells, just anything I can get my hands on, anything that you can sort of simulate being in the gym with, just to keep things interesting.
Amazing. Mark McLaughlin. Mark McLaughlin just sent me a video, fellas. Oh yeah, be lucky I can't share my screen, Marco. When I see you, we'll have a chat about that video, fella. Yeah, so part and parcel of keeping in touch with the national team, fellas. How have you been doing that? How have you been connected as a squad during COVID?
We've just we just had a couple of catch-ups really throughout the tough period. It's been a tricky one, if I'm honest. Just kind of, we've got like a sort of WhatsApp group and stuff, and maybe we drop messages in there once every while just to check up on people and stuff, see how people are doing. But yes, I mean, I think I can't actually remember how many times we've met and stuff, but yeah, a couple of times just catching up. It's difficult because obviously you'd rather be meeting up to train, you know. But
yeah, it's I mean, nobody could have predicted it being like that. And you know, when you say that you're catching up, Darren, is it a consensus full squad, or is it less formal? What's the environment like?
Yeah, we tend to try and get together as a full squad, particularly at the start. We had a good few chats about, you know, what's the best way to keep our bodies ticking over, to try and get back in. But I mean, at that point, I don't think any of us seen it being over a year till we get back on the field. So I think it's, you know, we're still, a lot of us are probably still doing a lot of the work at home workouts, resistance work, trying to keep us ticking over. But yeah, I think we're all just desperate to get back to actually just have this conversation in a court, in a court sports hall instead of over Zoom or etc. But yeah, I'm definitely
seeing the program get back up and running, and I know that, you know, like you say, Ali, Jack, and I, we speak very, very regular about the progress. So, in terms of that and coming back, what would you like to see from the national team going forward? Obviously, you want to get back, but what would you like to see you guys get on the court and achieve, Edward?
So I thought COVID came at a bad time for us as a team, because we were off the back, as we were speaking about earlier, the European competition in October, and then we managed to get away again just before everything was shut down. We were in Luxembourg in February. Luxembourg was a step up from the previous tournament in terms of the opposition.
Yeah.
So as a team, it was sort of the next progression, and it was really good. It was good to base ourselves against that kind of opposition. So I think for us coming back, it's going to be trying to work our way back up to that point, and then keep progressing as a team, and then keep competing against tougher opposition.
Fraser or Darren, what do you think?
I'll go first.
You guys are shy. Just spit it out.
It's fine. To be honest, I would just, it's always kind of been the same for me when I've been involved in the national team. I've really enjoyed being involved in it, but I almost would love to have more fixtures if possible, more games. You know, we test ourselves against these guys. You know, we've won this competition in October, Faroe Islands, that kind of thing. You know, it sets down a marker. Then we play in Luxembourg. The Luxembourg team have kind of kicked on. They're in a lucky position where they are based. You know, in Europe, they can get up, you know, around to different countries and get different fixtures and games played. But it showed you the differences in the experiences that they had and the level that they had, because they're playing those, you know, level of opponents more often. And you know, their level was, you know, from the last time that I'd seen Luxembourg a couple of years previous, was quite advanced. And it kind of opened my eyes to saying, actually, you know what, if we can get more opportunities to test ourselves against tougher opposition, it will definitely help us as a programme. But it's obviously, it's a massively difficult thing to do. But if there is those opportunities ahead, then I think the programme is going to go from strength to strength and hopefully keep pushing ourselves forward.
Yeah. For you, Darren?
Yeah, like, again, what Fraser was saying there, watching the performance level of Luxembourg, going back to the junior European title that we won in 2014, I think, where we beat Luxembourg in that tournament. Some of the players that were in that team, Camille Rishlicki, Max Funk, those were their key players in that junior tournament. Those are the players that are playing top level volleyball over in Europe now for Luxembourg, and it shows that we were at that level back in 2014 in the junior setup. So we had the potential to really kick on, but we never really got there. So I think, yeah, if we can get some more fixtures, more time together as a squad, and start to build our player pool, a bit more competition between players fighting for spots, then it'll be a positive step for the national team. But you know, as Eddie said, it all came at the wrong time. Everything was starting to go the right way, getting the performance levels, getting sponsorships and things starting to come through. It's hopefully we'll be able to build on that once we get back onto the court. What a performance level will be like when we go back is a different question, but it'll take a while to build up to that.
Well, I think if we need to do some fundraising. I hear that you guys have all got some cracking singing voices, so we can maybe utilise those skills to maybe generate some funds for you. And you know, we'll see if people really would pay to hear you stop singing. I mean, obviously, I sit here as a former national team player, and I look back with great fondness on the memories and the times I spent in the national team. I know that you guys have probably got a lot more memories to make, but right now, what's the best memory that you have of being in a national team? One that you look back and you say, I'll take some beating, fellas. Darren.
I mean, it's got to be winning that tournament. With that tournament in the Faroe Islands, I don't think anything will beat that. Or I think it'll take a lot to beat that. If we go to a tournament like the Novotel and we were to win the Novotel against these big teams, I think that would be a kind of standout moment for me. Probably still an easy one there.
You'll be next.
I think for me, it's probably first cap, and that when, you know, I've won a couple of things with the national team throughout the years, which has been great. Most recently, obviously, the one in the Faroe Islands was really special. I think it was just, you know, we were on a journey, and to cap that journey off with a win was extraordinary. You know, to be able to do that. But for me, I think it would just be that pride of the first cap. It outshadows everything for me, just because I'll remember it so fondly. Well, maybe not the actual game, but the actual first cap itself, it'll stick with me for a long time.
Yeah, Edward.
Yeah, for me, it is the European win again. Not just for the win, but as Fraser said, it was a journey from the initial team training to the months of preparation to going, and then to top it off with the win was just overall my best experience.
Interesting for you to pick out different things like that. There's a question here, and again, we're getting towards the end of the broadcast. We're 1 hour and 20 minutes in, and I apologise right now for the pronunciation of this name. I think is Ina Simmons. She's asked us. It's a great discussion. She's as an international player who retired. Question is, have the players prepared for retirement or their future after active sports career? They're alluding to what you're going to do when you decide to hang up the old knee pads. Have you even thought about it? Fraser, you're probably the elder statesman of the group, so let's go with you first, because Eddie's not played enough volleyball yet to be entitled to think about that.
To qualify. So, it's a good question. I think, in all honesty, it's not really massively cropped up in my own head, which is probably a good thing. I think as long as I am happy and I'm healthy and I'm enjoying myself, I'll keep doing it. It's obviously then maybe when things start to deteriorate, or I don't feel like I'm playing at the highest level I can, or then I'll maybe start to think, right, am I going to take a back seat here, or I'd still probably like to be involved in volleyball going forward, whether it's coaching capacity or whatever it might be. It'd be good, because it's massively impacted my life in a positive way, education wise, great memories, friends, etc. And I'm hopeful that will continue for many other people going forward. But in terms of retirement, I'm not planning on it anytime soon, which is good.
Barry, for you, any thoughts on it? Yeah, I'm the same. I think for me, retirement's a fairly long way away. I've still got a good bit of my volleyball career to go. Praying, well, touch wood, there's no major injuries or anything. I think got a good career ahead of me. So, but definitely agree with Fraser. I'd still like to be involved in volleyball in some capacity, whether it's coaching or within club setups or and that sort of thing. I don't think I could let it go. I think it's too involved in it now to let it go in the future.
Spoken like a true lifer. Eddie, the question is, I'm not even going to ask you about retirement. I'm just going to say, are you in it for life? Are you going to be here with us 25 seasons in?
Yeah, for me, I feel like retirement is a long way away. Like Darren said, I think it would the last year has shown it's weird without it. So, and I'm still quite young, so I feel like I've still got a lot of time to keep playing, keep making new experiences.
There we go. Grant, how are you? I hope you're keeping well. I'm still desperate for a bit of your tablet, but gentlemen, Grant McIntyre has made an amazing observation. All three would make good referees after retirement. Experience at the top level is a huge asset. Blowing the whistle, taking the podium. Darren, do you enjoy it on a Saturday at club level?
Yeah, I quite enjoy it. I quite enjoy taking the stand. I actually think I was trying to push to go up a grade just before lockdown. I was like, it was something I'd be quite keen to take on in the future, for sure. Something I've really thought about that conversation before, but no, yeah, I would be keen to take on a bit more referee duties in the future.
Yeah. Fraser, do you like refereeing?
To be honest, it's not for me. I don't think I've never really been a massive fan. I mean, I remember doing my grade 4 way back in the day, and got it passed and did the necessary. But nah, it's not a passion of mine. I'd love to say it is, but it's for me, it would probably be more down the line of coaching, I think, or trying to help improve players. I think that would be the thing for me. But I suppose you never know. I could probably do both going forward. I remember seeing Barney when I was a young guy, Brian McDougall, doing it, and just being amazed at how good he was, and obviously, Grant and John Swan as well. So, yeah, I would never rule it out, but I would probably go down the coaching route, I think.
I mean, you've just mentioned some really big shoes.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, when Grant poses his question, it's not long before those names come up, and you think the shadow of those shoes. So, yeah, it's certainly there. And here's Eddie. I've got to ask you a question. You done your grade 4?
Honestly, don't think I have.
Oh no! Oh, right, Fraser, as a club representative on screen, you've got to enforce that. It means that you don't have to do the reffing duties.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get in touch with Ewan. He's in charge of that. Ewan Gibson. He'll sort that.
Gibson, here's a name. Edward Aubrey is now looking to do his grade 4, and he's starting on the. I'm sorry. I always get the tough job of picturing everybody's names when they come on here. It's my lot in life. I'm well used to the picturing. But thank you so much for your question and joining us this evening. Yeah, great. Gentlemen, listen, we're an hour and 27 minutes in. I want to thank you for agreeing to come on to SVTV tonight to talk about your national team journey, and thank you for your time in that. But also from Scottish Volleyball, as a Scottish volleyball enthusiast, I want to thank you for everything you do for our game. You continue to push boundaries, and it's very well received. Margaret Ann's been watching. From a big thank you from Scottish Volleyball. Great positive chat. We all miss volleyball, and everybody can't wait to get the national teams back on the court. Thanks for everybody. So everybody's getting nothing but great things to say about you guys. We're delighted that you continue to push the boundaries for us, and we're also very proud to watch you when you play. So, gentlemen, thank you so much. By the power of TV, we'll say good night to you.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
Good evening, Aaron. Please up. Well, another show coming to the end. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's discussion with our men's national team. Some open and honest conversation from the gents who joined us today. We're not finished this week. We'll be back on Thursday evening, and it will be the turn of the women's national team players to come on and to discuss their involvement and their journey through volleyball. Remember, if you're watching this back, drop a comment and a like in the comments, and let us know that you watched it and you've enjoyed what our content's been. So, from me, Andy Fleming, your host for SVTV, hope you had a good night. Thanks for watching.